There's this philosophy in like Chinese art and painting that whenever you'll see Chinese painting, you'll see that it has a lot of empty space, a lot of white space. Like there's going to be a stroke of bamboo, and something's going to be large areas of whiteness. And they believe that it's necessary for the painting to breathe, for imagination.
Wow. Talking about believing in yourself, how is your smoking quitting going? Let's talk about the willpower.
The willpower.
I also feel like with age, it's getting harder and harder.
So nicotine, you get addicted to it because it's the easiest way to feel like you've achieved something great.
And it's an easy habit because our brain doesn't want to spend energy on complicated actions.
Exactly.
And this action, it's just it's something easy to remember. It doesn't need to think much. Light,
go. So that's one thing called chemical addiction.
What about IT? Any projects you work right now?
Game creation. And actually, it's something me and my wife are working on together because it's our thesis project. So we are trying to make a game which self-generates new levels every time you play it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Using AI there?
Using AI, artificial intelligence, evolutionary algorithms mostly. You always want to play another level after 50, right? If you're enjoying the game. You would wish that it would never be over. It's like reading a good book. What I'm trying, or what me and my wife and I are trying to do is like, there's evolutionary algorithm. Basically, these algorithms are same as human evolution. Survival of the fittest. If you're strong and there's another strong person, your babies are going to be strong. But if you're strong and the other person's weak, not going to be weak. So the more time goes by, the strong stay, the weak die. It doesn't have creation. That's the thing. If I asked you to imagine a new color, it's tough.
I'm going to try.
You're going to try, yeah. That's the thing. AI cannot generate something completely new. It can mix things on what it has been trained on. Right. It cannot create. That's then brings a whole argument of soul and God, religion, intelligence,
how brain works.
Yeah, I'm telling you this. We are heading in the right direction. We're not there yet. And there were interior designers and there were people who create game assets. They all lost their jobs because their boss thought that there's AI out there now. It'll do what I need it to do. I'll just pay it once. I don't need to pay my employees. But they're wrong. It's that they know exactly what you're saying, what you're doing, what you're eating, who you're with every second of every day. There's a friend who I don't talk to anymore, actually, DK, Chinese guy. He told me once that if I give you an apple and you give me an apple, we both have one apple, right? But if I give you a story and you give me a story, we both have two stories, right? That's a conversation.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Say It Slow. Today we have our amazing guest, Sami.
Hello, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming.
Of course, it's a pleasure.
By the way, for those who were just listening, we decided to implement a new approach and we're going to start getting hammered right at the podcast. So enjoy the conversation. Sami, would you like to tell us something about yourself?
Sure.
Who you are, what you do, and why you're here?
Cool. Well, I am a student here in China. I'm studying my master's in software engineering. It's going great, according to me. Okay. I guess I hope it's going great. I'm in my second year. I'm supposed to graduate next year, but we all know it's not going to happen next year. So apart from that, I love gaming. I love playing games. I love making games.
I know you're a game designer.
I would love to call myself that. Yes. I like designing games. I did design one recently. It's an ongoing project. It's pretty good.
What is that?
It's a game which is regarding like evolutionary algorithms. It's not out yet. It's more like a personal indie project, more like a thesis project.
But how it will look like? Is it what is it? The shooting or?
I see. It's gonna be more like a survivor game. Like there's a game out there, Forest. You're out there. You have to find food, drink, eat, survive. Attack zombies and stuff. Yeah, it's like that type of survivor game. It's a work in progress. Introducing something like new in there. A lot of people don't know about that yet. Apart from that, I love to write. I actually am going to have my first publication.
What are you writing about?
I write short stories. I write novels. Novels I haven't finished yet, but I have written a lot of short stories and poems. I posted them on my blog, and from there, someone contacted me. It's like a publishing magazine, literary magazine. They wanted to, put my stories up there.
What's the blog name? You can say it out loud. Give yourself a little promotion. Come on, use our couple of thousand views for
thanks. Cheers for that.
to support your own self.
Thanks. Well, the name for the blog is Nightstand Notes.
Nightstand Notes.
Yeah. So
nice name.
Thank you. Nightstand. A lot of people confuse it with like one night stand, but it's more like the bed stand you have by the side of your bed.
It's like one night stand, but for the writing.
Yeah,
exactly.
So when you're going to bed, you have some random thoughts you want to write down. Some idea, you can select, write it down.
You're usually writing at night?
I write whenever I get the chance, or whenever I get the inspiration, as they call it. Sometimes it's in the metro. Sometimes it's like in school at night. In the bathroom.
How does this inspiration usually? Did you mention any pattern where it comes to you? Because actually, I have the same thing with writing for the comedy. Because sometimes I just want to sit and write in front of the computer. I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend an hour, 2, nothing. Completely nothing is coming out of my head. But then I can randomly drive a bike, or as you said, subway is also a thing sometimes. I think because you have nothing to do and just random thoughts, and it comes from somewhere. I have no idea. Like the universe sending you some signals, and straight the words comes from your head. Yeah.
Well, there's not really a pattern. I've experienced the same thing with you. Like if I sit down, like, okay, today I'm going to write, I don't. It could be like, I feel guilty because of that. I can't enjoy my free time because I feel like I'm wasting time. Like I have 2 days or 3 days or even a month. I'm like, oh my God, I have so much time. I'm going to like do this and do that. But I sit down and I'm feeling so guilty that I can't, and I feel bad about that. But it doesn't happen that way. In order for inspiration to come to you, you have to just relax, man, not think about it. It'll come when it wants to come.
Right. When the more you try to force it, I'm feeling like the
you
less,
can't force
the
it,
less it's gonna come to you.
Yeah.
How long is, you said little stories of logs? What is it? 100 pages, 50 pages, like little novel stories, sci-fi, where
it's more of like psychological moral stories. Like the longest one I have is like maybe somewhere over 2,000 words, 2,500. But they're more like passages. So most of the stories, they have like a start, a climax and end and stuff. Mine are more like short passages from the stories. There's this philosophy in like Chinese art and painting that whenever you'll see Chinese painting, you'll see that it has a lot of empty space, a lot of white space. Like there's going to be a stroke of bamboo, and something's going to be large areas of whiteness. And they believe that it's necessary for the painting to breathe, for imagination.
Wow.
So I use the same philosophy when I'm doing short stories. I don't like write everything out. I just write enough for the reader's thought to be intrigued. Curiosity comes over. It's like, oh, I see.
Give it some room to
give it some room to breathe.
For his imagination.
So it can be different for you. It can be different for someone else.
You know what it reminds me? Have you ever read Haruki Murakami? I think I'm not messing up his name.
No, you're not messing up his name. His work has been translated before, yes.
Yeah, and it's a Japanese writer who does these short stories. And actually now when you told me about this room for breathing, it makes total sense, because his stories is exactly like that. It's like a small story. Sometimes it's completely sci-fi, something magic or something happening. Sometimes it's very normal, but then every time you finish it, you feels like it's a little not enough.
Exactly.
So you have to kind of
finish it on yourself.
Yeah, finish it on yourself. Continue by yourself.
Exactly.
Interesting way.
I haven't read his work yet. I did read Ray Bradbury. Actually, I read Ray Bradbury after I started writing, and I've like, it turns out that my writing style is pretty similar to his. He writes novels, and I don't really relate to a lot of people who write novels because it's something I haven't been able to do. I don't have enough concentration or patience to finish a whole novel. I write a little bit, and then there's a new idea, something new coming on, and it's like starting that. Sometimes I get like a writer's block or something. So I do short stories, like, quick satisfaction. Okay, it's done. Later on, I realized that Ray Bradbury's work was also, actually, he used to write short stories first. He used to publish them in like magazines and newspapers and stuff, and then he used to compile them and rewrite them together into a novel.
Oh, to the bigger novel now.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
okay.
his book Fahrenheit 451 Fahrenheit is like a very famous one. Without giving any spoilers, it's about like burning books, and it's like about a society which I think it'll always relate. That book, I finished it recently. No matter which time you're living in, it'll always make sense to you.
Right, because books bring, they can inspire ideas.
Exactly.
And some ideas can be too dangerous.
Exactly. This
Yes.
freedom is not, you know what I'm talking about. And it started out as like short stories, similar, closely related,
And then he compiled
them
it all together.
Yeah, same goes for another series he did about like Martian Chronicles, about mankind going into space and living on Mars and stuff. It's still like a bunch of short stories, but just put together. But the other books, they have been.
Do you think one day you will get your stories and they can be combined in one big novel?
I hope so. I actually am currently working on a big novel myself, but there's not a lot out there for people like to relate to. Like a lot of people I meet, they're like, okay, I get an idea, I just sit down and I write. And there's other people out there who are like, okay, I get these ideas and I write, then I write at this time and this is more suitable for me. That it's like there's nobody out there who I can relate to. So I don't know how I'm gonna get it done, but soon, hopefully.
When you said about Ray Bradbury writing short novels, writing short stories, and then compile them into novel, it reminds me of, I hope I'm not messing it up, but I think Tolstoy did the same thing.
Leo
But
Tolstoy,
actually, what he did, he was so broke that he was writing small stories, and then he was selling them to the magazines.
Yes.
And it was like literally sometimes 2 or 3 pages just for the magazine to post, for him to get some cash. And then when the whole year passed, he was cutting out the magazine and then compiling all the stories into the
I heard about that.
novel.
I heard about that recently. Like, he was in debt and he had to like write stories just to pay off his debt.
Have you read much of Russian literature?
I have started reading recently Dostoevsky.
Okay. What are you reading?
The Idiot.
Oh, okay. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I started on it and then I didn't have enough time to like get into it, so I stopped. I felt like I need to wait until it's winters to read it. I actually bought it from his apartment.
From his apartment?
Yeah. I went to see Dostoevsky's apartment.
Oh, wow.
And
when you were in Russia, right?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you bought... Wait, are they selling... Okay,
do sell. They do sell some of his work there. And they also sell postcards, like a lot of things. And I bought a couple of books there. So yeah, it was... So I'm reading on that. It's really fun. It's nicely translated, but I believe that a lot can be lost in translation.
Of course, yeah. It's never going to be the same. And call me biased, but especially with Russian language.
No.
It's that's the reason why Russian literature and now actually Russian comedy, they say that Russian comedy now is like new classic.
Yeah.
Because this language, even though it sounds rough, it gives you this ability to express yourself.
Exactly.
The amount of adjectives is inevitable.
Exactly.
And it's like a Lego. You can build it up all the time and you can change the meaning of the words. And when you can express yourself in a different ways, it gives you this power to bring these ideas to people, to make the imagination thrive. And
yeah, well, I am a strong advocate of learning the language and the culture if you actually want to understand that culture's literature. Same goes for any language, like Chinese. You can retranslate Chinese work about Huo Yi and all these Chinese heroes and Sun Wukong. Sure, they're great, but you won't get the essence of that stuff until or unless you read them in Chinese. Same goes for Russian. I know I have a book from like that story, Ludmila and by Pushkin.
Right, of course.
Ruslan and Ludmila. Yeah. I tried reading it in English and I do understand the story, of course, but I know that it makes so much more sense and there's so much more power and volume to the story in Russian. So I'm trying to like learn Russian just for the sake of that, just so that I can understand.
It's going to take a while, but I hope one day it will happen.
I'm ready to like take as long as it needs, to get there. And I think if you actually immerse yourself in that environment, you can grab it. Like Arabic. You can write 100 poems from one letter of Arabic. It's like so.
Wait, how is possible?
Because
100 poems
one
from
word,
one letter.
Yeah, it's like one letter can change the meaning of a word. And one
so
word
many
can have
times
so
that you
many
can
meanings.
use the original
Yeah,
part
yeah,
of
yeah.
the word, but just
Yeah.
by adjusting it, you can.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. And one word can have like many different meanings depending on the context of how to use it. So if you translate Arabic into like English, like it'll lose a lot of its like dimensions. So I feel like if you actually want to appreciate an artist's work, you need to understand it in that person's language. Like I've tried
Native
translating
language.
a lot of stuff, but it just doesn't feel right.
That's why I'm always watching movies and books way harder, but movies especially. Yeah, always original language. Doesn't matter
Yeah,
French,
yeah,
German,
yeah.
always in original language.
Yes, yes.
Talking about this, cheers. Man.
Cheers.
So you said you bought Dostoevsky book from his house.
Yeah.
How was your trip to Russia? Was it an interesting experience?
It was an absolutely beautiful experience. You won't believe me, but since I was a kid, I wanted to visit two countries. That was China and Russia. China because every Saturday night, late night, like around 11 p.m. at night, they used to put these old movies. And we used to watch, me and my dad and I used to watch this movie by Jackie Chan. He used to be handsome back then. Like, I mean, he still is, but like he used to have like long hair, very athletic,
way more energetic,
very more energetic, and drunk and boxing and all that. Very funny, a proper entertainer. And we just used to watch it and just enjoy it so much. And I would see them. I saw one scene where he was in a restaurant. He was eating food and he was drinking this like hot water. Like he was like sipping on hot water, like, and it was just so weird to me. And I was like, I don't understand how you're like, it's hot outside. You got into a restaurant, you're drinking hot water. And I was like, maybe it's not hot water, maybe it's like soup or some drink or tea. But I was very curious and I wanted to see it with my own eyes. Like I saw a couple of movies they shot in Guilin, Yangshuo, like The Painted Veil. It's a very famous movie by Norton. Like there's Norton in it about like cholera, the disease and all that. And Russia, because back home, we used to have these calendars, on the wall, and each month you used to have a picture of Russia. Like, they sell like scenery calendars.
Oh wow! Wait, I thought it's actually a typically Russian thing.
No, it's all over the world, man.
Okay.
It's like an era thing, maybe. And I used to watch those pictures, and I'm like, that's not real. Like, it doesn't work like that. And it doesn't snow much back home. Like, I mean, it does, but not in my city. So I used to see the picture of these like roofs, like this, with like
Covered
a thick
with
cloud
snow.
of snow. And I'm like squinting my eyes and staring at that picture. When I was a kid, a long time, like, how? What is that? How? I don't understand. And I got the chance to come to China first. But I really wanted to go to Russia, and I was trying, but no time, busy with studies and some work and this and that. And
Finally,
I quit
dream
everything.
come true.
Yeah, it was a dream come true. I'll tell you in detail. It was absolutely amazing. I quit everything. I quit like whatever work I had and my studies. I took some long time off, and I found a nice hotel for my dog to stay for like a month or two. And I packed everything. I bought some nice winter shoes and clothes, and I got on a plane. I got 1 year visa for Russia with multiple entry, and it was a bit weird for them to see. Because a lot of people don't get that. They'll either get tourists or this or that, but there was like a special visa out, and I applied for it. I had to provide extra documents for that. But anyways, I
But
got
is
it.
it still a tourist visa?
No, it's a private visa. And I went to Beijing, and then from Beijing, I got on a plane to Moscow. It was a very unpleasant journey because I was a little bit sick, and the air problem, the altitude and air problem. I got down, and it's time for me to go through the immigration line, but I need to go to the bathroom, and I'm in the bathroom, and I hear my name being called on the loudspeaker in the bathroom. Please proceed to the immigration check. And I'm like, whoa, I probably misheard. I'm not the only foreigner who's coming. I go there, and the lady's like, please wait. And I'm like, oh man, I don't think I'm going through, because there was a lot of people waiting there. And it was strict because of, the political reasons, like war and stuff. And I saw people in the waiting area with sleeping bags. They probably would have been there for
Wait,
some
was
time.
it again? Was it already in
Moscow?
It was already in Moscow.
It was already in Moscow. I just had to go through the immigration line. But the people were absolutely amazing. All the Russians I met in China, they're a bit cold, including you, before I knew you. They don't smile if they don't know you. Like, people are like, hey, what's up? They're like, oh, I don't know you, man. If you get to know them, they're cool, but they're like, they keep to themselves. So I had this general impression that Russian people are these cold people. If you get in trouble, they don't know you, they won't help them. But that's good. I mean, they're neutral,
Right.
cold and neutral. But the lady at the immigration office, she was like so serious. She was like, if you don't mind, would you please wait here? I'm like, sure, I'll wait. And then this guy comes up. And it's like, hey, how you doing? They were like the politest immigration officers I ever met. And they were like, how you doing? Everything good? Do you speak Russian? I'm like, a little bit. He was like, a little bit is good enough, enough for you to survive. He said, let me see your phone. I gave him my phone. He checked everything. And like, he saw my papers, everything matches. Like, okay, go. As soon as I stepped out, it was like, because I stayed in China for like almost 10 years. So going out of China for me was a big deal because I didn't leave. I've been so occupied. I just saw all these like coffee shops and all these like bakery products and all this food. And just in the airport, I was like, oh my God, the smell was new. Everything was like, foreign basically. So I step out of the airport and the cold air hits me. I went there in the winters.
In winter, of course. Yeah.
But it wasn't cold in Guangzhou, Like right now, it's like, this is good. You don't need a jacket or anything. Yeah. And the door opens and like, whoosh, cold air. And I kind of felt like I'm in one of my dreamlands for a long time. Like these were a couple of hours. I had a long trip, like because my wife's, okay, let me tell you, I went there to see my in-laws, my family. Mm-hmm. My father-in-law was there. He picked me up. We had a 2 hours journey through Moscow Ring Road outside. And I slept. I woke up the next morning and I was thinking, I'm going to wake up in Guangzhou in my apartment. But it took me a while to like, whoa,
I'm actually in Russia.
I'm actually in Russia. Yeah, I had to go through the window, and open up. It wasn't snowing yet, but there was snow. I went downstairs, grabbed a cup of coffee and all that. And then I started traveling. All I did was travel throughout Russia. There are a lot of things I noticed. The first thing is that I used to believe that Russia is this country in the world which is cold and people are like surviving. They're just like
they're
tough
cold all the time.
Yeah, it's like it's tough life. They're like drinking vodka, fighting
people
bears.
People don't understand that we have central heating system.
Exactly.
It's very warm inside. It's very warm inside. Wherever you go inside the building, it's super warm and comfortable, which makes it super chill. When you're somewhere, even you're just visiting the shop, you just went from the outside to inside, and you're like, oh, okay, this is good. I'll just stay here, spend a couple of minutes. So no, it's a common stereotype, but tell me, what was the moment when you were like, okay, it's everything I thought is wrong?
The first day. It might sound strange, but in Russia in winters, I was sweating more than I was cold because actually it's of course it's cold outside, but people wear warm clothes, there's like thermals and jackets and stuff. And no matter where you go to a coffee shop, a restaurant, the subway, the bathroom, wherever you go, it's heated. So people basically have it easy all the time. The only time they're cold is when they're like walking outside, but when they're walking outside, they're wearing warm clothes. So I was like surprised the first day. I was like, oh, so, I'm good. There's nobody's freezing over here. And it's just absolutely beautiful.
So which cities did you visit in Russia?
Well, after spending just one day in Moscow, I just kept traveling. I left Moscow and went to Nizhny Novgorod. It's a beautiful
city.
It's absolutely beautiful. Actually, a lot of people don't realize this. It's like up and down. It's a hilly area, beautiful place. I did go to the Jinsk, right next to it. Doesn't have a good reputation, but for me, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And over there, I actually got an experience to sit in the chand. Chand is basically like a big pot of water. You just sit inside.
Oh, the one, right.
Yeah. People told me, and the sauna, of course, the hammam.
Did you use did they slap you with the sticks?
They did. Okay, so here's the thing. It was the first time for me.
I'm missing it so much here.
Probably you'll go in December and try it out. There was like a little hut, and I'm like, okay, what's inside? I open the door and there's a small area and there's another door. I open that door, there's another area and there's a third door. You open the third door and there's a steam. And some family friends, they come over and they bring a lot of cheese. First of all, whoever's going to Russia, go to Globus. They have the most amazing variety of cheese. I just didn't want to leave that supermarket, man. They have like cheese and wines and cakes and fish and salmon and caviar and oh, it's like my mouth is watering and I'm talking about it right now. Well, so I was sitting over there. It was hot. I was eating, drinking mead. So someone told me like, the proper way is like sit inside, go out, jump in the snow, rub it on yourself.
Rub the snow in and then go back.
And then sit in the chant, like in the water, basically a hot pot, but you're the vegetable, And I was like, oh, that's great. I tried it. I was scared. I was like, this is stupid. Like, why would someone rub snow on themselves in cold winter? But then I realized the best way to explain this feeling is, in summers when you're really hot and you're like, oh man, I miss winters. And sometimes in winters you're really cold and you're like, oh man, I miss summers. It's that feeling, just very quick and fast.
Exactly.
It's not like, oh, so cold, oh, so hot. It's more like actually longing for that temperature. And so everybody was like sitting, chilling, eating, but me, I was like, boom, sauna, snow, chant, sauna, snow, chant.
Right.
Like a hamster going around. Yeah. Well, that was my experience in Nizhny Novgorod, but on the way there, I stopped in Suzdal. I have to say, Suzdal is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been or I've ever seen. It's
absolutely amazing. Suzdal it's a small city. I mean, I would say it's hard to live there.
Yeah.
But as the traveling destination, it's absolutely beautiful.
The churches were beautiful. The architecture is beautiful. It smells like beeswax because candles, right. A lot of candles. So it's like you're in, like a very holy movie. Basically, it's like
especially
blessing
in winter.
In winters.
When you basically cannot even see where it ends. It's
exactly.
Just snowfall.
Exactly. So I went to all of the churches there, as many as I could get into. There was one beautiful one, a very big one. It had like a blue dome. And I realized that a lot of churches are not like the ones we see around. Orthodox churches, they have like a dome, like a mosque. For me, I thought churches would be like, a triangle rooftop pyramid with like a cross on top. But a lot of churches in Suzdal, they were like Byzantine era churches. Felt like that. It felt like that because with the golden domes on top, right. So I wasn't expecting churches to look like that because when you go to Turkey or somewhere, the mosques, they look like with domes and stuff.
Domes with very different.
So it was very surprising for me. And I drank over there this drink called Izbitin.
What is that?
Izbitin is like it's like a herbal drink. There's a lot of herbs in there, maybe some honey and pomegranate juice. You're supposed to take 1 spoon and mix it in tea and drink it. It's supposed to be really helpful for you. And I tried a lot of things made by monks, like honey made by monks, and like soap and some stuff. It was like, I didn't want to leave that city, honestly. But in the end, I had a train. So I kind of missed the bus. I had to walk for like 2 hours away to the bus stop and stuff. Well, after that, I went to St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg was like another dream come true.
It's a beautiful city museum.
Oh,
city museum. Yeah.
Of course, I went to Hermitage, and it's every day. It's like a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale land, man. It's beautiful. It's not part of this world. When you're in Russia,
so different.
You're like in a different dimension, and a lot of people don't realize that. And
especially
I was a part of
St. Petersburg.
Exactly. Every city is like a small country. Sometimes you go to different cities in a country and you feel like, oh, a little bit same, like a little bit different maybe. But in Russia, each city you go to, because it's so huge, every city is like a small country with its own, specific architecture,
underculture,
a vibe and underculture.
Right,
exactly.
Right.
I went to a fan-based museum of the Beatles, which nobody knows about. Only people who went there know about that because it's a private museum.
Oh, really?
But my wife knew about that.
I'm not living there for such a long time, even I don't know about it.
My wife, she lived for a long time in St. Petersburg, so she knew all the places people don't know about. So she was taking me around to all these places. And I'm going to talk about the hospitality of people, but after I tell you which cities I've been to. Over there, I got this. As soon as I stepped outside the train station, there was this lady selling tours. And I'm wary of scammers, so I stay away. But I'm like, whatever, I'll get the tour. And I paid them the money and they're like, okay, see you tomorrow at 4 a.m. or right over here. And I'm just walking away feeling like, oh my God, I got scammed big time. Like
she's taking the money, see you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. And the next day I wake up and I'm going to that place just thinking in my head, that's so stupid. Like I'm going to go there. Nobody's going to be there. I'm going to be an idiot. But I ended up there and the person was there and there was like a big bus waiting for me. And they're like, oh, it's you. Okay, get in. And they took us to this place called Ruskiala
Yuruskiyala.
and Sartavala. And I was like basically near Finland.
You know that they call St. Petersburg door to Europe.
Door to Europe.
That's initially the purpose of that city. That
Yeah.
Peter the First, he built it in order. He was like, okay, Russia needs to be integrated into Europe. We're gonna build the city so as close as possible, and
Yeah.
on the land that's like was not livable at all.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a dump. It was technically this dump, and that's why the subway is so deep because it needs to go underwater, and that's why the city is always a little bit wet.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of this wet atmosphere there because it was built in a dump. They
Yeah.
found this spot, and how? Yes, you said close to Finland.
Yeah, like for me, it was all frozen because we're there in winters, right? But you remember earlier I told you about these places I used to see as a child on calendars, these houses with snow. It was there,
Did you
man.
see one of those?
I saw them there. We stopped there, and there was a small town where we ate some like beautiful rabbit. The houses were like that. People were ice fishing, picking salmon, trading in salmon. There was meat and there was this bread. It was like a dream city for me. And my plan right now is to settle there. I'm gonna like basically finish my
really?
education. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna finish my education, get something done, and the dream is like move there. Have a small community, be part of that community, maybe be a teacher there, or maybe make some arts and craft, like be a carpenter or something, just there, because that
It's gonna be
place
a quite beautiful life.
it's beautiful life,
quite beautiful
especially for a writer if you think about it. Yeah. And the tour guide was amazing. He used to have this like very like, now we're gonna go to Sartavala, and I was like sleeping, half listening to him. I saw the biggest moose I've seen over there, like the yak. Actually, sorry, not moose. It was a beautiful place. I came back. I came back to Moscow right afterwards. But those were the cities I went to. But let me tell you about the people, man. Like, I thought people were cold. But every single day, without failure, I would meet at least one person who was so kind, way out of like, their line, kind to me.
Russians actually very famous for their hospitality.
Exactly.
And
like,
I don't know why a lot of
Me
people don't
neither.
understand it, but the thing of someone, if you go visit someone, there is a rule that you cannot go, they call it empty hands. So you have to bring something to someone else's house.
yeah,
If someone is coming to your house, you have to serve them.
Yes.
You have to put wine, you have to
Exactly.
put tea, you have to put snacks,
Right. Yeah,
whatever. I think it comes from the long history because before, it was cold, there was
Yeah.
no food. So
Yeah.
if you meet someone, if someone coming to your hut,
exactly.
try to welcome people, try to make them
Exactly.
comfortable because they're probably hungry, definitely
Exactly.
hungry.
Exactly.
And this tradition is still moving to our days, and
Yes.
there's still the stereotype that everyone there is angry and rude,
I think it's
which is true sometimes. But
No, it's Hollywood movies, man.
here's the thing: have you heard of theory of coconuts and peaches?
No.
They're saying that people from Finland, Russia, Polish, they're coconuts, and Western people from America, Australia, hot countries, they're more peaches. So the idea is that for coconuts, they're very cold on the outside, but as soon as you get closer to them, as soon as you get through the shell, they soft inside. It's very easier to start a conversation with them. They're
Yeah.
very welcoming. Where in Western countries, it's more like we have a culture with small talk.
Yeah.
But as soon as I'm trying to get your number and trying to get close to you, it's like, wait a second, I have my circle of friends and I'm keeping the circle. And actually, after I went to Australia, I 100% proved this theory. 100%. Small talk, but let's keep it.
Keep our
let's keep
distance.
it here.
Yeah.
Where with Russian, it's like, who are you? But as soon as you get inside the shell, it's kind of very welcoming.
That's one thing I was craving here living in China. I am not a small talk person. I'm a person who likes to have deep conversations with people. I want to be your friend. I'm not going to talk to you until or unless I think you're friendly, you're valuable, and I like spending time with you, and I can have a deep conversation with you. If small talk is not my thing, if I'm like, oh my God, hello, how you doing? Goodbye.
Yeah.
Like, hey, nice to meet you. No, that's not my
I
thing.
don't get it. I try.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
trying.
it's not
okay
basic.
to discuss
Yeah.
something. Yeah. I'm not saying that if we have a small talk now, we have to be friends with
No,
everyone. It's
no,
okay.
but yeah.
but still sometimes I'm like, yo, dude, we were discussing, big things, and I feel like you opened for me, and now I'm
Yeah.
just calling you for coffee, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
getting offended because of that. This is not fair.
I'll give you an example of that, of person I met in actually St. Petersburg. I was on near this place called Neva Prospect, and there was this guy. He was selling small icons made of nickel. Like the lion is like, you have to rub the lion's paw for good luck and
Right.
stuff. So he was like trying to sell it to me, and he was like lowering the price from one to like lower, lower, lower. And I was like, listen, man, I kind of like, I'm not looking for souvenirs, so I don't want to buy it. He was like, cool. So, where you from? How do you like Russia? Where do you live? And I had a conversation with him for like maybe, like 20 minutes or something. And then he was like, here, you take it for free. And I'm like, hey, I can't take it for free because it's your craft. You made it. You worked on it with your hands, with your sweat. And I don't want to undervalue your skill. He's like, no, you're paying me with a beautiful conversation. And I was like, whoa. People value conversations in Russia.
Yeah, a lot.
People,
It means a lot.
it means a lot. And I felt moved by that because I was deprived of that connection and conversation with people. Like my wife, she was looking for that here in me too. And I didn't understand. I was like, small talk, everything chill, it's all good. But when she was longing for a deeper connection. And I understood that when I went to Russia. And I was like, wow. So people can live like that. You can coexist. And I was so wrong before I went there. Like when people talk, they're cold, they're this, they're that, they're tough. They are tough, but they're so warm and squishy and nice. Let me tell you this. The first day I was in Moscow, I met these kind immigration officers I have never met nowhere in China. In other countries I've traveled to, Thailand, Sri Lanka, all this other. They were the sweetest. I know that there's a policy in immigration that you have to be tough with people. You can't be this kind, soft person. You have to be straightforward. And I understand that. But over there, wow, they made me feel like, I'm okay. Even if I would come back to China and they would not let me in Russia, I would still be like, oh, they were so nice. That's how they were. Then, when I was in, what's it called? Suzdal, I wanted to buy a cup of tea. And there's a vending machine. You can buy tea from there, but you can use only cash. You cannot use a card. I had a bank card. So I go to this lady who sells ticket and I'm like, hey, could you give me like 100 rubles? I want to buy a cup of tea and I'll pay you with the card. And she just like, she's counting money for the tickets and she takes like 100 rubles out of the register and she gives it to me. And she's like, it's okay, go get tea. And I'm like, let me pay you back. She's like, I'm not getting any poorer by giving you this money. And I'm like, whoa, I drink the cup of tea. The next day in St. Petersburg, when you go through Russian immigration, advice to everyone, when you're going to Russia as a tourist or whatever, they'll give you a card. It's called an immigration card. It's separate from the visa you have on your passport. Keep it with you all times, wherever you go. So I thought that, I have the visa. It's fine. I got the stamp on it. I can show it to everyone on my passport. The card, I'll just leave home in Moscow. No, you need it for everything. You need to get into a hotel, whatever. So I booked a hotel in St. Petersburg, tried to get in, and they were like, hey, you can't, you don't have your card. No matter how hard you try, you can't. So I'm over there with some wet clothes in my bag in the middle of nowhere. Not in the middle of nowhere, but for me, it felt like that. I can't stay in a hotel. It's snowing outside. And this random person in the hotel lobby, he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, this, that. He goes to his phone. He finds an apartment, not a hotel room, an apartment. He finds an apartment with a bathroom, a living room, a kitchen, a bedroom. He books the apartment. He pays the deposit and he pays the first day's rent
to
fee
stay for you.
For me. And he's like, here's the information. I already send you a picture of you, your passport, and your information to the landlord. Just go there and stay. I'm like, oh, that's great. Let me pay this for you. He's like, I'm not getting any poorer helping you. That's the catchphrase of people in Russia. I'm not getting any poorer helping you, and your conversation means a lot to me. I was already moved to tears, man. Like I stayed there for 2 days and he wouldn't accept. I somehow managed to transfer him like part of the money. One day he paid for me. After that, I would get in the metro, the police, even though they were police officers, they couldn't understand English. But the friends I was traveling with, they already went through to away and it was my turn. They wanted me to put my bag because I was the only one with the bag and everybody had no bag. They wanted me to put the bag through this security check. But in China, the security check is like right next to you,
Right.
But over there,
it's
in a separate room. Yeah. So I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? They're taking me there.
It happens to me too, because they're taking you out from the
Yeah,
crowd
exactly.
and then they bring you to the room,
they
right?
take you out and they're like, come with us. And I'm like, oh no, please, this and that. And they know that I'm freaking out. They try in English to tell me, no, bag,
It's okay.
you, не проблема. And I'm like, And by the time I understand a little bit, so they put me back. I'm like, okay. They're like, okay, you good, хорошо, go. I'm like, oh, okay. And one more thing, the drivers in Russia, it's amazing. You stand on the side of the street, the cars will stop for you.
Yeah, right.
Like if they think you want to cross the street, they'll stop. Like over here, it's like, well, anyway, even in my own country, it's like you have to it's a gamble.
Yeah, you have to.
But over there, if you want to cross the street, only then you go to the curb. If you don't want to cross the street, do not go to the edge, because if you do, the cars will stop for you. And the food, man. Wow.
Oh, don't tell me anything now. Yeah, these people. And I have to say, Russia is the only country I know where everything is so fulfilling.
Exactly.
That's the thing, because these people went through such a huge time of hunger. So they developed this cuisine where there's no salads for diet. There's no soups for losing weight. No. This is not about, this is where you eat and you actually enjoy the process and you're getting full. So you.
Exactly. Yeah, I was eating all the time. I was eating like sharpov and these dishes. I forgot the name of these dishes, but it was food. It was real food. It felt like you're eating something. Your mouth appreciates it. Your tongue appreciates it. Your stomach appreciates it. Yeah. And it was like, now I can't wait to go back. Like I told you before, Globus, this shopping mall. You go to a shopping mall here or somewhere else, there's a variety of things. Okay, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Over there, you go and you can just live there, basically.
Everything.
You live there, yeah. You just move next to the shopping mall.
I also have to say, you told me a lot about people that they're saying, oh, it's okay, you can just, you paid me with a conversation where it reminds me that Russians use feeling a lot. That's actually true. They really use feeling a lot. And there's one interesting story that proves it. In 80s, when the USSR broke, 90s, when the USSR broke and Coca-Cola came to Russia, they were like, okay, we're setting up a factory. That's the amount of sugar you put. That's how the factory works. Okay.
Yeah.
The franchise starts. We're leaving. Okay. Work.
Yeah.
1 week, factory stops. They're coming. Nothing wrong. Like everything is working. They're like, okay, continue. They're leaving. They come 1 week, factory stops. They're like, guys, what the hell is going on? Like, what are you doing here? And then it turns out that Coke, you cannot make it unless you put the exact amount of sugar that it's supposed to be for make it.
Yeah.
And they figure out that Russians were putting way less. And they were like, why did we showed you how much to put? Why didn't you put as exactly we told you? And they were like,
too much sugar.
It's sweet enough. They were like, it's sweet enough. Why didn't you put so much?
That's how I feel too.
Yeah,
that's
it's sweet enough. Do I just leave it like that?
I want, when you go to websites or when you talk to people, everybody's like, hey, you want to go traveling, go to Italy, go to Switzerland, go to Thailand, but a lot of people don't talk much about Russia. And I do not
now
understand
it's not
why.
the most popular destination, I can understand, but it has its own benefits.
I went there a year ago and I realized how much I cannot rely on other people's information. How much right now, if I need to believe something, I need to hear it with my own ears. I need to see it with my own eyes. Right. I'm also not like, if a person I trust is telling me things, even then I'm still a bit doubtful, because when I actually went there,
it's your experience.
It's my own experience.
You have to go through it. You have to see it for yourself.
Exactly.
Same. I can talk about other countries, what's happening in Europe, what happens in America, because I know people from there. I talk to them, but I'm always giving this remark. I haven't been there. I really want to go myself to see what's going on. But from what I heard, is this like this?
Exactly.
Cheers to this, man.
Cheers. Exactly.
Great time. I hope you will visit Russia soon. Again.
In a couple of months. I'm taking my friend with me this time.
Okay.
It's his first time to Russia. I sold it to him very nicely. Yeah.
Excited.
I told him to take a train from China from Lake Baikal. He's gonna do that. I want to take as many people as I can with me, because before I came to China, all I heard from China was from other people.
Hmm.
And from movies. When you get here, you realize it's not the same.
It's very different.
When-
very different.
When Russian people here in China would tell me Russia's like this, like that, is beautiful, you can imagine the best to your abilities, but you cannot perceive reality in that way. You have to go there. Same goes for all the other countries like Ireland, Thailand, Poland.
Everything. The
Every
same
single
goes with
place.
everything. And not only countries, just experience in general. People and experience in general.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to interact with people to understand how they are, so that's I'm a strong advocate of believing in yourself and what you see. Until or unless you're like drugged or mental, but like believe what you see and what you hear with your own eyes.
Talking about believing in yourself, how is your smoking quitting going? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the willpower.
The willpower.
Okay, tell me first, how long you've been smoking?
Okay, smoking as if you
As
would
when
call it
when was the first time you tried it?
8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Actually, no. If you talk about shisha, that was more like 12 years ago.
Same experience for me.
12, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
But nicotine, I started nicotine around 8 years ago.
I started. What was that? You mean cigarettes?
Cigarettes,
Yeah.
nicotine. Like
Yeah.
shisha doesn't have enough of it. Vape has a lot of it. When you get addicted, you don't get addicted to the thing. You get addicted to the chemical nicotine.
Chemicals, exactly.
So it's been like what 8 years.
And how's your sobriety going now?
Good. It's tough. It's new. It's no matter how much I research, it's not the same. So yeah, I'm hanging in there.
I also feel like with age, it's getting harder and harder. I remember I tried smoking first time I was 16. Definitely didn't hooked up immediately. And I remember around 20s, I was like, I just don't smoke.
Yeah.
I just don't smoke. 1 year, 2 years, literally, it was no problem for me. But for the last 3 years, oh my goodness, a real junkie.
Yeah.
I've been doing this thing that I've seen actually in a movie, and because I thought it's only my thing, but then I saw it, I was like, okay, that's what all people do. I was buying a pack of cigarettes, taking 1 or 2 cigarettes out, because I'm not gonna smoke the whole pack, and then I'm throwing the pack out.
Yeah, and then looking back, looking for it.
And exactly. And then next night, I'm like, okay, just 1 or 2 cigarettes, and then I'm going out, buy a pack again, 2 cigarettes, throwing out the pack. Next night, same story. One time I hid a pack outside, and then I was going outside to find it because I was thinking, okay, maybe it's too far away. I'm not going to do that. I was finding it outside. It was literally almost on the street, taking a couple of cigarettes out, then coming back home, smoking on the balcony, and then coming back again. Yeah, it was insane.
It's insane. It's actually so different. I think I would call it same terminology as I use for Russia. It's like Russia is so different from what a lot of people think. Smoking and addiction is very different from what a lot of people think too.
Exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
People can't really understand it if they don't really see, if they don't break the coconut shell and look inside, they won't really know what they're addicted to. Like for some people, it's so easy to get rid of cigarettes and like get rid of nicotine addiction because they started smoking under different circumstances. It's
which
difficult.
Is also very important, I guess.
Yeah, it's difficult for people who have been traumatized before, or who are stressed, or who have issues to quit.
The thing about stress, you see, it's a fact. I know for sure that cigarettes actually does not release stress. What they do, they release the withdrawal effect. Yeah. So you are getting nervous because you need nicotine.
Yeah.
And then when you smoke, the nicotine level goes down, but it's actually not releasing the stress. It's just it's just giving you a hit.
Well, what happens is you're absolutely right, because within 40 minutes the effect of nicotine wears off and you start experiencing.
That's why they have what is it, 30 cigarettes in the pack.
Yeah,
it's for every 40 minutes of the day. Something like this.
Yeah,
maybe my math is
exactly wrong. No, you're absolutely right. You smoke more because of the withdrawals, not because you want to smoke a cigarette and be cool about it.
Right.
Well, you got to look at it this way. Nicotine, no matter how you take it, in a patch, in a pill, in a gum, or cigarette or vape, it releases a hormone in your body. It's called dopamine.
Dopamine, exactly.
Dopamine, what it actually is a hormone of achievement. When you do something good or achieve something great, it's a rewarding hormone. You feel rewarded. Your body naturally produces dopamine. If you're not a smoker, normally under normal situations, you finished your homework, you cleaned your house, or you did something, you achieved something, no matter small or big, this hormone will be released in your body called dopamine. What cigarette does, basically what nicotine does, it aids in the release and spread of dopamine to your brain. So it's like a reward system. And our brain, our conscious, it tries the best way to live, to save energy, to lead the best life the easiest way it can.
Brain is the laziest organ.
Exactly. That's
Just
why
saving
people
energy.
gain weight. That's why people get addicted to different things. So nicotine, you get addicted to it because it's the easiest way to feel like you've achieved something great.
And
First.
it's an easy habit because
an easy
also
habit.
our brain doesn't want to spend energy on complicated actions.
Exactly.
And this action, it's just
Exactly.
yeah, it's something easy to remember. It doesn't need to think much. Light, go.
So that's one thing called chemical addiction. You're chemically addicted to it. Second, it's behavioral addiction. Is when you start associating it with different habits. For example, you have a cup of coffee, you smoke a cigarette. So basically,
Double effect.
So drinking coffee is the thing which makes you feel awesome, like you achieved something. You had dinner afterwards, you smoke a cigarette, oh, it was great. You're on a bike ride, you smoke a cigarette, oh, it was great.
Finished,
You're like,
right.
may have some sexy time with your wife or girlfriend, smoke a cigarette, oh, that was great. So excuse me, since you've associated those actions and those parts of your lives with nicotine, when you don't smoke it or when you don't consume it, those things don't feel good anymore.
Right.
Like coffee doesn't taste the same. Actually, scientifically, it should taste better, but it doesn't taste the same. You lose the joy of things. So nicotine, it increases the level of dopamine. So when you stop it, the normal level of dopamine being produced in your body is so low.
It's not enough.
It's not enough for your body. So basically, that's what you're addicted to, not to cigarettes. If I give you a cigarette right now, it'll have the smoke, it'll have the flavor, but it'll have no nicotine. You won't get the kick out of it. You'll smoke one and then smoke another and another.
It is. And really, the more you're doing it, the stronger the habit becomes. But what I think helps is to see other people's example. That's why I think what helped me, I was like, I want to be an example. Because I met those dudes who they're trying to teach you. They're like, no, wait, let me tell you, I haven't been smoking for like 10 years. And then I was like, whoa, really?
Yeah.
Really? If someone able to do that?
Yeah.
Why I was not able to do that? It was hard. And I think one of the advices I can give is that the wording is wrong because you never quit smoking. That's what I believe. You never quit smoking. You just don't smoke.
Yeah.
Because actually for me, the word quit means that you don't want to smoke, but I actually want to. You always want to smoke. If you ever was addicted to cigarettes, you always want to smoke till the end of your life. Just get this idea accepted and live with it. But you just don't smoke. Yeah, you just don't do it.
It's absolutely right. Wording is very important. Do you know our brain doesn't understand negation? So if, for example, I tell you, don't think about a pink elephant.
Right.
You're thinking about a pink elephant, right? You don't understand the word don't. You're thinking about a pink elephant. So if you tell yourself, I don't want to smoke, no smoking for me, it doesn't understand no smoking for me. It doesn't understand the word smoke. And there's another thing which is very similar to what you said. The addiction, you don't get rid of addiction. You replace it with something else. So when you're addicted to something you do on a daily basis, there are neural pathways created in your brain. It's the same as when you do something over and over and over again, it gets easier to do that, because your brain has created.
The brain just wants to save the energy. That's all it does.
And it creates those neural networks. So when you quit smoking, there's already a neural network created in your brain. So instead of destroying the neural network, you can replace it with something good, hopefully. Like when I was looking up like quitting smoking, like a lot of people, whenever they would crave a cigarette, they would go for a run.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, and
I know a lot of people eat. I actually tried it too, calories and kind of make your mouth busy.
yeah, no, it's true. You actually gain weight because nicotine suppresses your diet, like it suppresses your hunger. Second, you burn calories at a lower rate when you're not on nicotine. When you're on nicotine, you burn calories more. Third, because of the cravings, you have oral fixations, you want to eat more. And it's 100% true that people gain weight or people eat more. They get their appetite back, basically.
Better, yeah, and the
So
food tastes better.
food
so-
tastes better, everything tastes better. Like for like my own personal example, for the last 10 days I haven't smoked, or 11 I guess, hopefully now. I've eaten more than I usually eat at home. I eat like 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day, but now I'm eating all the time. And it doesn't matter what you're eating. It's more like you enjoy food so much, and every time you want to smoke a cigarette, you kind of replace it with like something else to chew on. Like I have a pack of bubble gums. I'm so tired of bubble gums, man. Oh, I'm so tired. Like I got blisters in my mouth, but when I chew them, it does alleviate a bit of that feeling. And at the same time, look, wording, I can't like stress it enough. It's so important. Like every time I want to smoke, I don't say that, oh, I wish I had a cigarette. I say, oh, I wish I could stretch. I'm reprogramming my brain. So then I stretch, and actually that part is satisfied. So my brain gets what it wanted. Kind of. You basically
the
have to.
dopamine after the work is finished. And actually, I have to say that I think there is nothing more satisfying after you've done some work.
Exactly.
After you actually put an effort into something, and it's finished.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Finally. That's the best pleasure.
Yeah. Like also, you have to not be afraid of this thing. Like quitting cigarettes.
Quitting smoking?
Yeah, quitting smoking. A lot of people think that it's gonna be so tough. It's gonna take a lot of time. You know, no matter, I don't know when my cravings are gonna be over. Like for example, I remember in Russia, I used to go and I have associated some parts, like it's snowing outside. It's absolutely amazing. I just had a nice warm cup of tea. I'm on the balcony. It's cold. I'm smoking a cigarette. I want to do exactly those things without the cigarette or without nicotine. And I want it to be great, because I don't want to go there and do that and be like, oh my God, it's not good enough. I need a cigarette, you know? So the time will come when you won't feel that way.
Right. And your life can't exist without a cigarette.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly. And you can do it. It's like, you know, when people say, talk to yourself, you need to tell yourself this, tell yourself that, conscious this, conscious that.
This is...
You don't really understand what the consciousness is until or unless you start doing something your brain doesn't want you to do. Give up an addiction, smoking addiction, tea addiction, workout addiction, porn addiction, whatever sort of addiction you're doing. You'll actually realize that there's a subconscious. There's another person inside of you that, which is making you do those things. And actually you can control. You have a conversation with yourself. Yeah. So you've like, you believe that, oh, it's all, you know, just nonsense. And people say, talk to yourself, look at yourself in the mirror, this and that. You don't feel anyone inside. You feel like, no, it's just me. Like,
right.
What are you talking about? You know? But when you are getting over addictions, you feel like, okay, there's another subconsciousness who wants to do something I am deciding not to do. So it becomes an argument, a struggle, which you just have to come on top of. And you'll realize that, oh, okay, you know, I'm in control. So it's like the Matrix thing. It's really interesting. It's like, wow.
Yeah. And it's crazy how replacement actually doesn't work, because I mean, the replacement of nicotine.
Yeah.
Because some people think that, oh, okay, cigarette, I'm going to try vape. Or I'm gonna try the nicotine patches, which is nicotine patches was the worst. I remember the first time I tried it, because it has a lot of nicotine in it, and I was like, "Wow, I really don't want to smoke. Really don't want to smoke." And then 1 month later, I was eating it like candy. There was one moment I was getting a patch and I was going to sleep with it all the time. I was waking up, having breakfast, put the patch in, and then I was going through the whole day with it. It was crazy.
Well, you know, I don't know if you've noticed, but did you smoke a lot of vape before? Vaping?
There was a moment again when I tried to replace it. I was like, okay, I'm in control of myself. I'm just gonna smoke it at night, couple of puffs, and then you know the picture when you're laying down in your own bed and you did like 1,000 puffs already in the last 10 minutes.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Well, the thing is that a lot of people don't realize that vapes before, now they're putting more regulations on the amount of nicotine, but before it was 5% nicotine in them. But most cigarettes, they have less than 5. They have 2.5, 2, milligrams per serving.
You know how much a patch has?
How much?
16.
Whoa. I believe you're supposed to have a patch a day.
It's like a normal one. Yeah,
Wow.
it's like a normal one.
It doesn't work. You have to, like, a lot of people say that if you're a pack a day person or a pack and a half a day, you need to substitute it with pills or patches or something. Sure, I mean, whatever works for you. But in my experience, no, it's not this. I mean, the smoke, of course, is bad for your lungs. So people are like, oh, pills are not bad for your lungs. It's not really the smoke you're addicted to. It's the chemical you're addicted to. So it doesn't matter which way you're taking it. It's still going to keep you addicted.
As soon as you're going to stop taking the patches or the vapes, you still want to smoke. It's the same story.
I think for me, the best way is cold turkey. Quit cold turkey. Like, stop. Just like, boom, out of nowhere. How it goes is the first 3 days, you're going to have it tough. After the first 3 days, it's going to be a little bit easier. So the first 3 days, you're fighting with yourself mentally. Then after that, you're fighting with yourself with physical habits. Like the first day, I didn't smoke vape. My hand was like automatically like,
where's the lighter?
Where's the lighter? Or where's going in my pocket? Everything I was doing where I used to smoke before, my hand would automatically move.
Right.
So that was the first day for me. The second day, I'm like, oh, this is the wrong choice. YOLO, you only live once, What's the point of living a sad life if you're not going to enjoy it,
A lot of people smoke and
they live up to
100.
exactly.
I can do it too.
Yeah. And so I was like, then you get over that phase without smoking. And then the third phase comes. It's like, it's okay. I can just take one.
Yeah.
Before I tried, but this time it's different.
But I just want to give the names too, because you're describing I'm trying to remember the name. The phases is the first is the anger, right?
Denial.
No. The first is the. I'm messing it up. I'm definitely cannot get it right. But there are phases, right? There is acceptance, is where you're accepting that, okay, I do have an addiction.
Yeah.
Then there is bargaining. It's exactly what you said. Just one cigarette a day. I also had, this is my word. This is the worst step, because you're thinking that you really can market and bargain with your own self.
Yeah.
Like, 2 cigarettes a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the night.
Yes,
that's it.
I tried that. Doesn't work.
Then it doesn't work. You go to anger, and then there's more.
There's couple of stages, like 7 or 5. But the point is, you can't win this. Like bargaining, I bargained myself off of cigarettes to vape, then off of vape to I'm gonna take one flavor, like one pod. Usually you smoke it a day or two. I'm gonna smoke it a month, man. I'm gonna take a puff only at this exact time of the day. Elon Carr wrote a book on how to give up smoking, and he was like, you have to take it as meditation. When you want to smoke, just smoke, do nothing else, just sit, enjoy the cigarette, relax, enjoy this and that. And it worked the other way on me. I was like, oh yeah, that feels good. I'm just going to do that. So after that, I didn't read the book, but other people told me about that.
But actually, I was sorry to break you up, but what they told me, that the thing about his book, that he is encouraging you to smoke all the time, but something magical happens by the end. And everyone who read that book till the end, they're saying you're closing the book and you don't smoke.
Dude,
they're saying it works only for like a month or 2. If after that you will start smoking again, then second time it doesn't work.
So what you're telling me is that I need to go buy his book and a pack of cigarettes and start smoking and reading.
If you're keeping it for 10 days, please keep it. Try to keep it for now.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle because, you see a person, like I saw a person smoking cigarettes and offering me. In China, it's very common. People will come and offer you because it's polite.
It's part of a culture.
It's part of the culture. It's polite culture. You need to you need to accept, or it feels too much trouble to deny. Just take it. And it took a lot of courage for me to say no, sorry, thank you. I met like there's a boss. He runs a company and he does jewelry, and he wanted me to do a collab with him, like make some videos, make some nice promotional videos for the jewelry. I met him the day I was quitting. Like a day before. So I was smoking cigarettes with him. And the next time he met me, he offered me cigarettes. And I was like, no, I quit. He was like, fuck, there's something wrong with my cigarettes. Like, what's happening? There's something I should know. But it was like tough for me to explain to him. So the point when you get into control, actually deep down inside, it's a very big achievement. It's a huge achievement to get over your addiction or try. You already make this step. Like right now,
proud of yourself.
Exactly. I am so proud of myself. I don't care what happens tomorrow. I don't care what happens an hour later. Till this point, I'm proud of myself that, okay, there's something I was doing. I was running my life every 10 minutes I was taking a puff of my vape, now it's gone. Now I'm in control. It's not that much about giving up, it's more about being in control of your mind, of your
Mind, your own will,
subconsciousness,
yes,
your
and
own will.
yourself, of
Willpower
course,
is
of
so
course,
important. If you
of
get in
course.
control of that, nothing will be impossible for you, no matter how impossible or difficult a task seems to you. Once you put your mind to it, so in a way it's like a blessing in disguise. A lot of people develop a superpower out of trauma. I kind of feel
Right.
the same things
Exactly,
going on
but
over
yeah,
here.
but we faced this trouble. We
Yeah.
faced it. It was, can you call it mistake? Can you call it an experience? It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
But we are here at this point of our life. I really felt like it's bringing me down. I don't feel good. I
Yeah.
don't like the smell. I'm
Yeah.
very cautious with smells. You can guess.
Yeah.
And especially when it happened during the day. When it's the night, I smoked, I went to sleep. I was like, okay, maybe I'll forget about it. But if I smoked during the day, it was the whole day I was thinking about it. I'm like, fuck, I broke it already. I broke the rule.
Yeah,
Like, the
yeah,
whole
yeah,
day
yeah.
now is
Yeah.
ruined because I know that I started it from the wrong point.
Yeah.
So this part was very important for me. And yeah, bless God for now.
It's-
Exactly as you said. Today I don't smoke.
Yeah,
And yesterday I
awesome.
didn't.
That's
Let's see
good.
what's
That's
gonna
already
happen
good enough, Tomorrow,
see what's happening
let's see what
tomorrow.
tomorrow brings. Honestly, cheers.
The more I'm drinking it, the better it tastes.
Yeah, of course. That's the thing of wine.
I like wine. It's a conversation drink. It's a
Yeah.
conversation drink.
There's a saying like Vina Virtus.
Vina Veritas, right?
Vina Veritas,
right.
yeah.
Oh no, I think it's in Vina Veritas. In
Vina Veritas, like, in
means
wine
the
lies truth.
Truth is in wine, right? Truth is in
Someone
wine.
from St. Petersburg in a train told me that when he was offering me wine and
Oh, really?
cheese.
Vina
Yeah,
Veritas?
yeah.
Nice. So among all the amazing things you do, writing, being the face of Guangzhou subway now,
Not
which
anymore.
we didn't discuss, but I think people who recognize you, they will know. What about IT? Any projects you work right now?
There are two different aspects. One is the thing I'm studying, and another one which I'm doing as a hobby. The one I'm studying is more of like boring stuff. It's like role based algorithms, searching stuff. It's more of like numbers, cranking numbers, and studying and researching. Can be taken as an interesting stuff. But another aspect of that is game creation. And actually, it's something me and my wife are working on together because it's her thesis project. And it's basically her idea. She did everything. It's just I'm so interested in it that, I'm like, all hands on it. So basically, the thing is that, when you buy a game and you play it, and after you're done, you're done.
Okay.
You play it again, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
How many times are you going to play it? Like 2 times, 3 times?
That's why all the modern games, they implement the online and they try to hook you up with the...
Exactly. So we are trying to make a game which self-generates new levels every time you play it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Using AI there?
Using AI, artificial intelligence, evolutionary algorithms mostly. So what happens is that...
But it's endless in this case.
Yeah, it's endless in this case.
But how to finish it if it always generates new levels?
Basically, imagine you buy a game and after 50 levels, you're done. You always want to play another level after 50, right? If you're enjoying the game. You would wish that it would never be over. It's like reading a good book. You don't want to finish it. It's the same as the game. You would never want to finish it. There's a game out there called No Man's Sky. You can explore the galaxy and find planets. And there's endless planets. People play that.
Have you played Wukong?
I haven't yet.
Everyone tells me that.
Yeah.
Everyone tells me that, sometimes you want to play a game just to relieve the stress.
Yeah.
That's not the game because you're getting even more stress there all the time. It's like,
yeah. No, Wukong is not.
I haven't tried
I have tried God of War, though. I would like people who like to play games out there to play God of War, both parts. Because I'm a big fan of like Viking culture and Norse mythology. I keep track of that. I see all the Viking TV series and all that. So it actually very portrays the message very nicely. Because in other movies and stuff, Thor, Odin, they're like good characters.
Where, if
in
you
God
go
of
to
War,
the history, it's
like,
actually very opposite.
Exactly. So in God of War, it's like the story told from a different perspective, like the other side of the coin. So it's fun to see that. Apart from that, I play role-based RPG games. Divinity Original Sin from Larian Studios. If there are gamers out there, they probably know what I'm talking about. It's like fun games. So what I'm trying, or what me and my wife and I are trying to do is like, there's evolutionary algorithm. Basically, these algorithms are same as human evolution. Survival of the fittest. If you're strong and there's another strong person, your babies are going to be strong. But if you're strong and the other person's weak, not going to be weak.
Right.
So the more time goes by, the strong stay, the weak die. So in computer, it can be implemented in the same way. So you program what is strong. So the computer generates different types of maps. It sees, it evaluates that map. It takes the stronger maps and it merges them, makes babies, makes new generation.
Oh, and
Taking
then
those
it
qualities.
creates new
And-
maps and
yeah,
new levels for
exactly.
you to
And
continue.
you introduce a bit of mutation.
Mhm.
Mutation is like some changes, and it checks it on a criteria like fitness functions. And in the end, it gives you a map which has all the requirements you need. And the requirements
In
are
order
based on
to
the fitness.
progress and continue
Yeah.
further.
So you get the end map, and that is the next level you play on. And it also accounts in the user data. Like you played it was too easy for you. So the next one is not going to be that
Okay,
easy
okay.
because you passed it very
Right,
easily.
also based on your level.
Yeah.
It's interesting how they're using AI now to create games. Do you think it's possible that one day you just write a prompt and it's gonna give you the whole game completely done? Or
Yeah,
you will need designers and then software engineers?
No, it's happening right now.
Already?
Yeah, already. It's happening right now. AI.
How good? How well is the game? What can it done?
AI games,
Yeah.
not good enough, but they can get much better. Much better. Like I created a game for my bachelor's project. It was like a small ball going through some obstacles. You can control the ball. I made that for my thesis, but now AI can do that. So they're progressing. Like I told you earlier that I also make 3D meshes for game component stuff. There are AI websites which can do that for you too, but they're not there yet.
Right.
I mean, people cannot just go to a website and ask them to make something for them. Maybe in the future.
And especially it's harder with platforms, right? For example, PC will be way easier, but if we talk about PlayStation, Xbox now,
Yeah,
how to integrate it there,
it depends.
will be
Like
way harder for AI to also make it match with with all the platforms that existed.
Yeah, like what basically AI is artificial intelligence, right? But intelligence varies. People before used to think there's a test called Turing test. If like a robot can pass the Turing test, means it's
a human.
It's a human. But there's some consciousness you can't give to AI. Recently, I think a month ago or something, you remember Tesla? They released this humanoid robots along with their trucks. They were very human-like. They had the body movement. They had conversational abilities, but it's all programmed. Before games, I will give you an example of AI. A lot of people think that, wow, AI is a new thing. It's the boss. It's awesome. It is awesome, but it's not exactly what they think it is. I will program something like, if I press this button, move the glass here. If I press this button, move the glass here. So that is programmed.
Intelligence,
yeah. So
your own idea.
In the beginning, it was a bunch of if-then statements, which were called AI. But now, ChatGPT is basically a model which is trained on a lot of information, a lot of conversations. But you can also train it wrong, you know. If you tell it that, okay, you know, the Earth doesn't revolve around the sun, or, you know, the sun is the thing that actually revolves around the Earth, you give it that information, you can train it on that.
It's gonna learn it.
Yeah, it'll be smart on learning wrong information, but that doesn't necessarily, you know, make it like questioning its own knowledge type of
That
feeling.
comes to the question of wording.
Exactly.
That's the wording. I really believe in it,
Yeah.
and I think people kind of we feel bad to accept this fact that actually you don't need that much intelligence in order to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because I also believe that ChatGPT, it's not artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
it's just a smart system that has a huge database, but it turns out that in order to have a conversation or in order to write a good book fast, you don't need to have intelligence. You just need to know all the words, what do they mean, and just put them in the right order, and that's it. That's it. And just mix this combination over and over again, and that's going to work out.
Me as
Which
a writer,
tells a lot about us too.
Exactly. I cannot have, like, I heard news like someone fell in love with the AI model or something. That's not going to happen because I cannot have with AI what I can have with you. We cannot have the same amount of conversation.
Your own ideas.
Exactly. It doesn't have creation. That's the thing. If I asked you to imagine a new color, it's tough.
I'm gonna try.
You're gonna try, yeah. That's the thing. AI cannot generate something completely new. It can mix things, on what it has been trained on,
Right.
it cannot create.
And then
A lot,
produce.
yeah, a lot of people do argue that we also cannot create. There's a philosophy out there is that
That
whatever
we also
you
train
think of,
systems.
yeah, whatever you think of has already been thought of before. That's why you're thinking it in the first place. But that's a paradox, you know.
Yeah, it's a paradox because people did create new things, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
did
exactly.
create internet and
Exactly,
cars and
exactly.
lots of things that did not
Exactly,
exist, right?
yeah.
We came to this idea somehow.
That goes into more of like a philosophical aspect of all of this. As far as IT and AI goes, yes, it's making things very convenient for a lot of people. Me as a writer, yes, I can ask it to write a poem for me. I can ask it to write a book for me. I can ask it to write my thesis for me. But if there's actually a human being who knows what a book should read like, what a poem should
Who
sound
went through this
like,
experience.
yeah, he will know instantly that it's AI.
Of
Like a lot
course.
of people who don't know, they'll be like, wow, cool. But when I read something, I know it's AI wrote it. Same goes for this Sora AI and Mid Journey. They're making absolutely amazing realistic pictures, but you can tell instantly. it's
Instantly
AI.
that they made with AI,
You-
of course.
That's then brings a whole argument of soul and God, and
Yeah,
religion,
intelligence, how brain works and
Yeah,
everything.
I'm telling you this: we are heading in the right direction. We're not there yet. It's gonna take a lot of time.
But do you think it's the right direction? Did not make you scared or anything?
If you talk about it as a Terminator kind of way,
Yeah.
it's the wrong direction. Honestly, what is stopping a robot to kill you? It's programming. You can program it to kill you.
Of course.
A long time ago when I was still a kid, they figured out cloning. That's not AI, that's biology, right? That's scientific biology. Like they figured out how to clone people. They can make a copy of you. They made a copy of a sheep called Dolly.
They made copies of animals.
Yeah,
it was
Dolly the
actually
sheep.
years
Yeah,
ago.
a long
Actually, it happened
time
years
ago.
ago.
So there was a sheep, Dolly the sheep. It just died because it didn't have immunity. Basically, it had AIDS, if you want to say that. All the diseases it couldn't fight against because they couldn't create immunity inside it. So they can clone. Maybe they figured it out how to do it now. They can make a completely exact version of you, Jay. Make it sit over there. Why don't
But
they
the question
do it?
is, will this Jay knows everything that I know? Because this
We
Jay
don't
didn't
know.
go through all that experience.
Exactly.
Right?
We'll never know. Plus, they don't do it because it's unethical. They're not doing it because they can't. They're not
Can you
doing
imagine how much it will break? The
Exactly.
all religion gone. Forget about it immediately. Next
Exactly.
day,
Exactly.
forget about it.
Yeah. So same with AI. They can create something, but it's going to be a copy of you. It's not going to be original. And I do understand a lot of people are losing their jobs. I went to this group, Canton Creative, last time. We talked about AI. And there were a lot of people there. There were architects and there were interior designers and there were people who create game assets. They all lost their jobs because their boss thought that there's AI out there now. It'll do what I need it to do. I'll just pay it once. I don't need to pay my employees. But they're wrong because they'll try and they'll try and they'll try and it'll not really quite put
Leading
it up
to
to
the
mark.
same outcome.
Exactly. A very normal example, I think, for everybody out there, cheers, is this glass of wine. Now, if you come to me and you're like, hey, I'm playing a game. I want to make a game. In this game, 2 people come and talk on a podcast. I want you to make this glass of wine in a game. I'll be like, okay.
Like an object inside
Like an
the game.
object inside the game. I will open up my, software, Maya or Blender. I will draw this. I will make it 3D. And the building blocks we use, they're like cones, like little shapes, like Lego. We put it together, like one dimensional.
Shadow and
Yeah.
everything.
I'll put all the details and stuff. Now there's a website. You take a picture of the glass, you put it on the website, and it'll make a 3D model for you. It's gonna look great from the outside. But if you move it like this, you look inside, oh my God, it's terrible. It's like a block. If you turn it around, oh my God, it's like it's like the first image. Basically, it is a 2D image still.
Right.
It looks great.
But it's not usable.
Yeah, it's unusable. Like, let's say that, okay, it managed somehow to make it all. You move it into your game, but there's so many tiny Legos basically they used for that glass. It is so heavy for you to use. Me, I can use least amount of things to make the glass. So it doesn't use a lot of space in your podcast or game or whatever. Yeah. AI is not there yet. We still need human beings. But unfortunately, people are losing jobs.
How many years do you think to get to the point where you're taking the glass and you're like, wow, the human drew it? Actually, what do you think? A year or 5 or 10?
I would say 5.
5?
5 or 10. Yeah. 10 to be realistic.
It's also crazy how we lost our ability to predict right? Because
Yeah.
before, like 20 years ago, I could say, okay, internet is going that direction.
Yeah.
I think in like 10 years, it will be like this. But actually now, I can make a prediction for next year. 5 year, five?
Forget about it. Yeah.
5? No.
You cannot predict
Five definitely
anything.
cannot happen.
Dude,
No,
a
I have
week.
no idea.
You can't even predict a week. Really, you can't. That's true. It's unfortunate that we lost the power of prediction. We can't even go to a lady who will look in your crystal ball.
Yeah.
We can't do that. So you're lying.
That's
definitely.
also people who lost their jobs.
Exactly, for
right,
AI.
right.
That's true.
Right,
That's true.
right.
That's crazy. But it's not there yet, and it's still gonna take some time. And my wife actually told me this quotation. A lot of people, they're like, how to actually use ChatGPT, for example. It can actually help you a lot. It can be the perfect assistant.
I'm not using any searching engines anymore.
Yeah.
Like I can find anything
Exactly.
there way faster
Yeah.
and exact information I need.
Yeah. For AI, there's this quotation from Harry Potter. In Harry Potter, when the boy goes looking for a Horcrux in the room of requirement, and he talks to this ghost, Lady Helena, and she tells him, if you know, you need only to ask. But if you need to ask, you will never know.
Right.
AI is like that. If you know
what you ask, yeah.
AI will help you.
But if
need
you don't know what you
if
need,
you don't know
then-
what you need, it cannot help you. Like I need to program a game. I'm a programmer. I know how it works. I can ask it exactly what I need. It'll give me exactly what I need. But if there's a programmer who doesn't know how to make a game, it's like, make a game for me. It's not going to make a game for you yet.
you need
Not yet. Yeah. So you need to know exactly what to ask it.
Man, this is an amazing conversation.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
I think we're about to come to the end. Sadly.
Yeah.
Sadly, we still have some while to go.
Yeah.
But
Actually, I have a question,
Go ahead.
okay, Adam has a question.
Of course. Go ahead.
Like, how far we are from, achieve this kind of level of AI in games. When you have game, for example, like GTA, there is a lot of NPC. So can you imagine that all those NPC have AI and they can live in that game?
Not far. You can do it tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be so exciting.
It's just going to take a lot of money and a lot of people to
But
handle it.
that's what Mark Zuckerberg tried to do with
Yeah, in Meta.
in Meta, right?
Meta.
That's Meta. That's Meta. That's NPCs that living inside, and I heard that even the promotion. That in this virtual reality, if you wanna buy like land, they're actually selling for real money, and then you really put your advertisement and build your whatever
Yeah.
Nike shop there.
Do you guys
which is
remember
not
that
even
movie
real.
with what's his name? Ryan Reynolds. He made a movie in which he is an NPC, but he
What is
becomes
that?
conscious.
The good guy.
The good guy, something.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. Like people come into the game, but they're NPCs. But in that game, NPCs come back to life. If you want, actually, you can have a game. You can program a version of, let's say, Chat GPT in every NPC you have over there. So whenever your character is going to go and talk to the person, basically it's AI replying you back. So yeah, it is possible. It is a very interesting idea, though. It's going to make games very, very
Can you
immersive.
imagine you can, for example, make friends
Yes, maybe, but
with NPC, with AI?
depends on who is going to make friends. If you or me, I know that it's AI, maybe
Right,
not, because
100%.
earlier we talked about how much we value conversation. But if it's like youngsters out here right now who play games, they're definitely going to lose a lot to that thing. You can make friends with AI. People fall in love with AI and they kill themselves because of the movie Her.
Her. Oh,
It's always
wow,
about
that's
that.
a wonderful movie. That's a wonderful movie.
Like,
I'll tell you more. Not even about the movie.
That's a good question.
I have a guy.
Uh-huh.
He uses the. Tell me what's the name of the thing? The virtual reality VR mask, right? And he told me that he has a girlfriend and they're having sex
you can.
and they're going to sleep together wearing VR. And then you're still wearing VR. You're going to sleep on your bed. She's in her house. She's going to sleep. And then when you
together.
open eyes in the morning, you actually see her inside the VR. So you're waking up together. Inside the game.
Everything you watch.
And that's already happened. This is like
Exactly.
the guy who
It
lives here. I
happens. It
literally
happens.
know this guy.
Okay, time for conspiracy. Everything you saw on the Black Mirror, this TV
true.
series, it's true. Do you know film? The thing they call movie. Before they used to say movie is something like, it's a movie, it's fake, it's Hollywood. Actually, no. People make it so that your brain can accept it later when it becomes real. Everything like you cannot show a human being something new directly.
Right.
It can't handle, the brain can't handle it. You have to slowly implement it in the person's life. You show it somewhere here and there. And when it's normal, like for example, right now, something very absurd. I don't want to offend people out there, but like I'm gonna think of something less offensive. Let's talk about vapes. Before in the 80s, if there's a machine which is making so much smoke, you show it to people, or cigarettes, which is definitely killing you. People are like, oh my God, no, that's bad. But slowly in movies, Clint Eastwood killing somebody in the Wild West, smoking a cigarette. Cool. That's so cool. Slowly implement into the
That's
person's
marketing
life.
as well.
Marketing. Aliens. We have seen so much news of UFOs. That's a perfect example. When Epstein's Island's list was coming out, they were like, oh, we finally saw aliens. Nobody cared.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if they're gonna land it, I'm gonna be super surprised. But I was like, that's what I expected.
That's what you expect, because now this AI thing, we've seen it in Black Mirror episode Total Control. I have a class in university. It's called cybersecurity. And I have this class with all of my Chinese classmates. There's no other foreigner in my university, only me, one. And in cybersecurity, what we learn is that they know exactly what you're saying, what you're doing, what you're eating, who you're with, every second of every day. Like the professor told me, you didn't come for attendance, it's okay. We know where your phone was from this time of the day to this time of the day. He's like, you search restaurant on your phone. We know you're going to this place and we can assess everything you're doing. So Black Mirror episode on Total Control, people know all of that. There's nothing you can do about it.
What Black Mirror does, it just takes the technology that already existed and it's embryon and then just speeding it up to the maximum and the worst case scenario. Yeah, that's
right now where we're headed. It's not good for people like me or you, because we are rebellious. We are like, why? We don't want to lose control. If somebody knows, if the government knows what's my name, how old I am, how much I earn, what's the harm? What are they going to do to me? Nothing's going to happen. But it's just there's some sense of belonging and privacy I don't want to lose. But people, the more we go down in the generation, the less people care. They don't really care. There's this quotation that tough times create strong men. Strong men create good times create weak men create tough times, right? Yeah, it's that thing. It just depends on which part in the loop are you at right now.
Which part do you think we are now?
We are at strong men create good times.
Because we are the strong men.
We were or are, I hope so. Cheers. Really, the new generation, you ask them, how do you make a phone call? They're like this. We were like this before, right? Phone call.
Right.
They're like this. So we are creating a very comfortable environment for people who are supposed to be strong, but they're going to grow weak because they're comfortable. They're going to create bad times, and the bad times going to create strong men.
Comfort eliminates pressure. Without pressure, you cannot grow.
Comfort eliminates necessity, and necessity is the mother of invention. So yeah, there's a lot of that going on. I think people are freaking out, but maybe what we see in movies like Terminator, Skynet, it might happen, but by that time I'm going to be dead. So maybe my kids, they won't care. Maybe my kid will have a robotic arm or something.
Right. I actually think that it won't go to the side of creating robots. I think it's that we're going to be integrated with this technology. That's what I see, especially with Neuralink. I have no idea why no one is talking about
Neuralink.
No one is talking about it. Everyone talking about elections in America.
Yeah.
I watched 8 hours of Lex Friedman podcast. The whole thing. It's insane.
Yeah,
this dude literally moves computer mouse with his mind.
Exactly.
He moves it with his mind. He plays chess and he can... and now actually, what makes it so beautiful, because in our generation, everything is digital. So he can type, he can call, he can work, he can draw, he can do whatever you want. Everything just controlling by his mind.
When I was 15 years old or 14 years old, they were talking about hearing aids or implants, which can make you see, blind people see. Like they attach it over here, they'll show. But now it's Neuralink. Like, remember the Black Mirror episode where you have a seed under here and you can see everything, record everything? When you're going through the airport, they will ask you to show 24 hours you spent.
What happened
That's
before,
what Neuralink is.
Right.
That's when Imagine you have Neuralink. Somebody hacks your brain and puts like Justin Bieber's baby on repeat.
Wrong memory or something
Exactly.
inside your brain, right? Wrong
Dude,
experience.
we're gonna turn out. In the end, it's looking more and more like the Matrix. Human beings turning into battery power cells for machines. But we are a long way from there. I might be wrong. I might like my grandsons might see this video on YouTube and be like, "Granddad was so wrong. I'm so sad," But like, who knows, right?
Yeah,
Right
who
now,
knows? Who knows? You have no
like
idea.
you said, you can't predict.
I'm always giving example of in the internet.
Yeah.
This is okay, yes, there was some connection, right, on the wires and stuff, but who could even imagine that without any wires, you can literally create this space of network where everyone can say everything simultaneously at the same moment. It's just no way someone could predict it.
This is what I think of before I sleep at night. How do you, it's a question for everyone actually. How do you program the concept of time in computer? We don't know what time is. 1 second. We decided that
was 1 second,
this
right?
is how long 1 second is.
Right.
We decided this is how long 1 minute is.
1 month.
How do you program that in a computer? How does a computer know how long 1 second is? You can. What do you ask it to compare it with? Okay, because everything is numbers, zeros and one with computer, right? ChatGPT, when you talk with it in English, it's actually translating your English into tokens and then tokens into zeros and ones and then replying to that and retranslate it. But I have a watch, right? This is my electric watch. I have a battery in it. It has a time. Yeah, great watch. No power, no battery in it. I put it away. I pick it up, I charge it. There's time on it. It's moving, let's say. It doesn't stop. Maybe it's not accurate, it's moving. How does it know how much 1 second is? How can you tell a robot? I know there's a lot of people think, yeah, duh, like put a watch there or tell it like in 1 minute there's 60 seconds, in 60 seconds
but again,
there's one
that's going to be your explanation. That's going to be your idea of time, putting it in it for your own comfort. That's not the real perception of time.
Maybe for a machine, time is entirely different. You know the concept, the theory of relativity, right? Like time is different on Earth, it's different on Saturn. The greater the mass, the slower the time. What about machines? Can they, because they're, let's say, artificial intelligence, it has history, it's conscious. It's not conscious yet, but can it go through and back and forth in time? How do you program? That's what I think of when I sleep at night. So it's a lot of things. You get carried away, and it's all interconnected. Everything we talked about today, it's so interconnected.
It's like, but that's the beauty of the world. That's what I like.
That's what you can get from conversation. You cannot get that from chat, because when you tell me about AI, it's only gonna tell you about AI. Right. It's only gonna like, hey, how many minutes are in 1 hour?
Yeah,
60.
60.
That's all. Yeah. But when you're having a conversation, you can start from, how was your trip to Russia to how do you tell a machine what time it is, So that's the power of conversation. And people don't do that. People don't have those conversations. They wake up, they go to work, they have an idea. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a scientist. I want to be a creator. I want to be a content advertiser, but it's in the back of their head.
Yeah.
The whole life is spent in the struggle of trying to achieve that idea. But what you need to do is you need to sit down, maybe not smoke a cigarette, but relax.
Get some wine. Yeah.
And ponder. People, all these philosophers, Socrates, Plato, they used to think,
the
ponder,
ideas
talk.
came in the discussion.
Exactly.
Right. And they were saying specifically in the debate. Not even discussion, but actually we have to have two different points.
Right now, you can't.
The truth is somewhere in
right now, you can't even disagree with people, or you're offending them.
Right.
You'll be like the bad guy. It was like, so yeah, we need to have more of this. People
cannot take criticism.
People
anymore,
need to travel to understand and appreciate that there's a lot of people who do have that. Like, I would like to go spend a lot of time in St. Petersburg, because I can grab a cup of coffee, sit outside a bookstore, and argue with a random stranger, and we'd be hugging and leaving happily at the end of the day.
Right, exactly. That's what this is all for. Like, we're sitting in this table, we can have different opinions, but we can discuss, right? It doesn't mean that we have to hate each other, right? People
are afraid of being wrong. Right now, if tomorrow or next week, if somebody comes to me and tells me, hey, everything you talked about AI and that video is wrong, everything you talked about writing is wrong, I'd be like, oh, cool. Tell me
me
what's
what
right.
is wrong. Tell me what's right. Yeah, tell
Exactly.
me what's I
But
said wrong.
people can't do that anymore. They're like, oh, you're wrong. This. I am open to a conversation. People forgot the meaning of conversation. You share something. Like, there's a friend who I don't talk to anymore. Actually, DK, Chinese guy. He told me once that if I give you an apple, and you give me an apple, we both have one apple, right? But if I give you a story, and you give me a story, we both have two stories, right? That's a conversation.
It is.
We talk, we learn, we increase our knowledge. Right, wrong, we debate. We have something to think on. We tickle our curiosity. Curiosity is a muscle. If you don't use it, it's gonna die.
It is, and the not even conversation. How to say it properly? Like speaking.
Yeah.
It is a skill. It is a skill that you can develop. Not
Exactly.
everyone have it, and it's very important to know how to talk to people and find the common ground, no matter what kind of topic
Exactly.
you're discussing.
Cheers to that,
man.
man. Cheers to good health and to curiosity. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. So we are so over the time.
Oh no, sorry.
My computer is off already, so I'm gonna try to do it from my phone.
Sure.
This new iPhone update is so weird.
I haven't
It's
updated
so
my
weird.
phone.
Man, it's completely turning into Android. 100%. 100%.
Mine is an iPhone 8. I'm afraid if I update it, it's gonna turn off.
It's gonna crash.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last thing we do here, called Say It Fast.
Say it fast.
I'm gonna ask you a series of questions. You need to tell me the first thing that pops in your head.
Perfect.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Are we ready? One good friend or $1 million?
One good friend.
Have you ever steal something from a shop?
Yes.
Why the skies are blue?
Because of the atmosphere and the gases.
Self-control or self-satisfaction?
Self-control.
What do you want for Christmas?
You.
Have you ever dated two girls at the same time?
No.
Ride a horse or ride a bike?
Bike.
Have you ever texted your ex-girlfriend when you get drunk?
No.
And the last one.
Whew.
What is the purpose of life?
The purpose of life is to... Actually, I'm gonna quote someone over here. It's Walt Whitman, but through Robin Williams from the Dead Poets Society. It's something about, what good is me or life, And the reply is that life is a play and you get to contribute a verse. So the purpose of life is to make your verse as powerful and memorable as you can and contribute what you can and live your life. Move
That's
on.
a beautiful answer.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for coming
Thank you.
and thank you for joining us.